In today's video, I'll be showing you the new way to connect your knowledge bases with your Vapi AI voice agents. If you don't already know, Vapi has discontinued their knowledge base support for Canonical in place of Trieve. And in this video, I'll be showing you the two most powerful ways to now add your knowledge bases to your voice agents. Let's dive in. Prior to this change, we were able to just choose a file under files here. Say we'll upload a file 4302 blah 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 manual.pdf, and we would go to our assistant. Previously, we were able to just select this file in the knowledge base. However, you'll see that we actually don't have that file here that we can upload into our knowledge base. And this is primarily because, as I suggested, Canonical is now not being used and no longer supported by Vapi. So how exactly do we start to get our knowledge bases back into our voice agents? We can now use something like Trieve. So the things we'll need for this video are obviously a Vapi account as well as a Trieve account. If you don't know what Trieve is a user-friendly search tool that makes it very easy for people to explore and find information in large data sets, including those internal knowledge bases. And to upload a Trieve data set to your Vapi agent, there's two ways that we can do this. We'll start with the most straightforward and simplistic way of doing so, which is direct integration. Now, with direct integration, we can create and manage Trieve datasets directly through Vapi, so we don't have to upload files directly into Trieve and create a chunk plan and everything like that. Although later in this video, I'll go through the second method, which is bring your own key. But for now, we're just gonna go with the direct and most straightforward integration method here. To do that, the first thing we'll need to do, obviously, is have a Trieve account. We'll need our API key from this account to upload into our organization credentials within Vapi. If you go into the Trieve dashboard, under API keys, we can create a new key. We'll go ahead and name this whatever we want. We'll generate this new API key. We can go ahead and copy this, head back over to Vapi, and under the left-hand side, under provider credentials, scroll down until we see our vector stores. The only option here we have is Trieve, and we can go ahead and paste our API key. Go ahead and hit save, and now our Trieve account has been connected to Vapi. We can go ahead and do this direct integration method to start uploading these files. Now, while there's no dashboard support for uploading or creating Trieve datasets within Vapi, it's coming in the future, but for now we have to use the API reference to do so. Within the API reference, the first thing we are going to want to do is head over to Files and Post, where we can upload a file. What this will do is give us a file ID as well as a file URL that we'll need in order to create our Trieve dataset and therefore use it as a knowledge base for any one of our voice agents. So under File, Upload a File, we can go to the right-hand side, this little play button. Make sure your Vapi API key is authenticated and we're connected. All we have to do now is drag and upload a file that we want as our knowledge base. So for instance, I'm using that manual, which is a Kmart kettle instruction manual. And this may be whatever you want. So it could be a spreadsheet, it could be a Word document with your business information, addresses, and things like that. We can go ahead and send this request. And as I mentioned, this will return a response, including our file ID, as well as a URL address that we'll also need. So what we'll do is we'll just copy this response payload and I'll house it just for now in something like JSON editor. You don't have to do this. All we need are the ID and the URL. But back over in the API reference, the next thing you're going to want to do, we need to find knowledge bases. Now, what we want to do here is create a new knowledge base. Now that we can't directly upload it in the dashboard and then use it on any agent, we can go ahead and create a knowledge base. Now, there are two methods of of knowledge base creation that we can use. Now we can create this post request however we want, but the most streamlined way to do this is setting up the direct integration as the document suggests, and the payload will look something like this. And head over to something like Postman to actually submit this post request. Endpoint address is going to be api.vapi.ai/knowledge base. We're creating a new knowledge base with the file we had just uploaded. The next step would be adding your authorization header. So the key name is authorization, value is bearer space your Vapi API key. To grab that, head over to the dashboard. Under your profile API keys, you'll see your private key. We can go ahead and copy that. Back over to Postman, bearer space, and paste it in like so. Now that we have that in here, we can go ahead and locate body and make sure raw is clicked. And now we can upload a payload to create our knowledge base. And as per the documentation, which I'll leave this in the comments below, we can copy this. We know we're creating a new Trieve knowledge base. We'll have a search plan as well as our file ID and the URL that we got from our upload file request. So we can copy this, come back over to Postman. We'll go ahead and paste that in. We'll now need the file ID as well as the URL address, which we had got from our previous file upload request and which I had conveniently stored in here. So the ID, we'll go ahead and copy. Come back over to our post request, and seeming I'm only uploading one file, we only have one file ID to put in here. The website is going to be the URL address, paste it in like so, and we're pretty good to go. Now, if you're doing it this way, where Vapi manages and creates your knowledge base for you, you likely don't want to be messing around with a search plan or chunk plan. In the later part of this video, I'll explain how you can amend these settings when we work directly with Trieve, but for now we'll leave as is. I'll name this something different, YouTube, hit send. You should get a 201 request, which stipulates that this knowledge base has now been created. Now what we can do is use this with any one of our voice agents. We can go under knowledge base and you'll see our YouTube knowledge base is here that we can now use as our knowledge base. Now we can go ahead and talk to our agent. I'm gonna pull up the knowledge base I had uploaded. I'll go ahead and talk with this assistant and we'll ask some queries on this particular kettle. Yeah, what's the frequency of that kettle?
The frequency of that kettle is 5060 hertz.
Yeah, okay. And what's the rating capacity of that one?
The rating capacity of the cordless water kettle LDK3075 is 0.8 liters.
Yeah, and what's some intended use under the safety instructions of that kettle? What should I be looking out for?
The intended use and safety instructions for the kettle include the following. 1. The kettle is intended solely for boiling water. Heating milk, carbonated drinks, or other liquids can cause malfunction or damage to the kettle. 2. The kettle is intended for household use only.
All right, so there you have it, using the direct integration method. Now, if you're the kind of person that wants to have a lot more control, or alternatively, if you have a very large data set, this part moving forward is going to be for you. And I mentioned there were two options to now connect knowledge bases to your voice agents. And that second option is going to be bring your own key, meaning that we're managing all our knowledge base and data sets directly inside the Trieve platform. And as I suggest, this does give you a bit more control over your data set, but we're also able to employ some custom chunking rules, as well as website crawling and search testing and a bunch of other features that you can't do if you were to integrate directly or do that direct integration method. We'll get into how to set that up now, starting with heading over to Trieve. Of course, you'll create an account, but when you're in the dashboard, we have the option here to create a new data set. And what we can do is name this data set whatever we like, and we can go down to configuration. And there's a few configuration options here. Now, Vapi suggests that you use Gina here as the vector embedding model because it is quite fast. you'll get the best performance out of this as compared to more accurate and more popular models like the text embedding small and large, which are going to be a lot slower. So in the application of voice agents, this is not ideal, hence why we're going to go with Gina. Now the re-ranker, distance, sparse vector model, as well as our keyword search settings down here in BM25, we're going to keep the same. We can go ahead and hit create new dataset. And all we have to do now is upload our files. So for example, I'll upload our user manual. We can create a tracking ID as well as a link to file and a tag ID. I name this kettle ID, tag set. This can be really whatever you want, technical. Create the tag set ID. We also have some advanced options here, and this is pertaining to chunking settings. Now we can merge and split, have these split delimiters, and this is where each chunks will be split. So for technical documentations, you might want to add a semicolon. For general content, these full stops, commas, question marks, and new lines are going to be appropriate. Because I've sort of got a technical documentation, I'll add also a semicolon there. Splits per chunk is anywhere between 15 and 25 for general documentation, or 10 and 50 for technical documentation. I'll leave these as the same for now, and these other settings we can leave also. All I'll do now is drag in our manual. Now I can click upload and chunk files. If it had been uploaded correctly, you'll see this green message, your file has been uploaded successfully. We can check out the group to see it. If we click into that, you'll see our chunk count is 197. So this document is quite a small document. It's about 16 pages. If we click into the name here, we have a bunch more chunking settings. If we go into edit document chunks, we have more settings here that we can tinker with. Similar to what we had before, only we have weighting and semantic boost options and things like that. We can edit, update, amend each chunk. Now we won't really get into this in this video. Now that we've uploaded that though, we can head back to the dashboard. Now we got a few more cool settings that I can show you here, including crawling options. And this is where we're scraping web data. Say that technical manual of the kettle I want to link the website to the manufacturer, I can do so as well. So it's an Anco Global kettle, so I can input their site URL, and we can set crawl intervals here from daily, weekly, monthly. Down the bottom here have excluding query selectors, where we're not looking at the navbar, footer, or any forms that we have. Another cool feature here under playgrounds is chat, where we can actually chat to our knowledge base. We can submit queries and it will return a response along with where exactly and what chunk it had got that information from. So if I were to query about a specific kettle in the documentation I had uploaded, say for example, tell me what the voltage is for the wireless kettle. The voltage is 220 to 240, and it shows exactly what chunk it got that from. So pretty cool. But again, we'll go back to the dashboard, into our data set, and what we're looking for here is the dataset ID. When you have uploaded your files and you've configured all your chunking settings, you've added some crawling options and so forth, we can now import this into Vapi. And to do so, it's a similar request as we had done so before. So if we head back over to Postman, we're now not creating a data set, we're importing a data set. So we can get rid of this. I'll paste this in the description as well. Of course, we're using Trieve, keeping our search plan the same, only now our type is input, where they require our provider ID, which we can, of course, copy from Trieve, copy to clipboard, head back over, and now paste that in like so. We can name this whatever we want. I'll leave the name the same, ensuring that you're authorized in your headers also. And again, the post URL endpoint here is going to be the same, knowledge-base. Go ahead and send that. And now we've successfully imported our data set that we had created directly in Trieve. Under our little kettle assistant here, under knowledge base, you'll see Trieve, the one we had just created. So perfect. I can go ahead, publish this, and we'll just talk with it, ensure it is correctly set up. Talk with assistant, we got old mate manual by the side here. I'm inquiring about the cordless water kettle LDK 3075. Could you tell me what the voltage specification is on that one?
The voltage specification for the cordless water kettle LDK3075 is 220240V. If you have any other questions about the kettle, feel free to ask.
Awesome. And can you tell me the intended use under safety instructions for that?
The intended use stated in the safety instructions for the cordless water kettle LDK3075 is solely for boiling water. It specifies that heating milk, carbonated drinks.
So there we have it. We've successfully imported our Trieve dataset within Vapi that we can use as a knowledge base on any one of our voice agents. So to reiterate, the first option we went with was the most streamlined and simple way to do this, where we're creating a dataset directly with Vapi's API. The second, which allows for a bit more customizability of your own dataset with those chunking settings and so forth, we imported from our Trieve account. So two options now on how to use knowledge bases within Vapi in light of the discontinued support with Canonical knowledge bases. If you found this video useful, please do leave a like and drop a comment below. Again, if you're looking to stay ahead of the voice AI curve, hit that subscribe button. I upload weekly, but that is it for today. Until next week.